Welcome. It's great to have you all here with us. Now, you've all heard of artificial intelligence, right? But have you heard of artificial general intelligence? Now, this is a real thing, at least in theory. The idea that eventually artificial intelligence will get to the point where it can analyze data and apply it in a general set of areas as well or better than a human. That's the theory. Well, according to an article that I read recently, the godfather of AI says that we may be years closer to that than we thought, for artificial general intelligence. I said, well, that's nothing. I've had generally artificial intelligence for years, so personally. Well, a little bit of science news. So researchers at Northwestern University have discovered that different bee species specifically balance their intake of protein, fats, and carbs by choosing which flowers they get their pollen from. Now, researchers actually worked on this. It was an 8-year study, field study, where they followed around bees and tracked which flowers they went to, and they were able to identify that different species of bees actually utilize just the right balance of different flowers. And they're hoping to use this research to better preserve bees. Of course, bees are really important for pollinating our different crops, and they want to increase pollination. But I like to imagine, one of those researchers as a little kid, mom and dad are like, so what are you going to be when you grow up? He's like, I'm going to study bees. They probably laugh, but they're probably proud now, so 8 years later. All right, well, it's time to get it over to Dr. Joshua to learn about how to study with Acellus Gold.
Today, I'm excited for you to meet an outstanding student named Nitya. Nitya loves to read. She loves books, but reading other people's stories wasn't good enough for her. She wanted to create her own story based on themes and characters from her imagination. So one day, she decided that she was going to become an author. Now, becoming an author requires you to have strong writing skills. And writing isn't one of those things where you can just flip on a light switch, now I'm a good writer. No, becoming a good writer requires practice. And one of the ways that she sharpened her writing skills was using the Acellus Writing Tutor. Now, if you're not familiar, if you submit a writing assignment in Writing Tutor, it marks up your misspelled words, any grammar mistakes, and you can fix those and submit, or you can click the boost score option. And if you click that, it will give you personalized suggestions. How can you use more advanced vocabulary? How can you improve your sentence structure or the tone of your writing? And she used this tool to elevate her writing. And if you practice and incorporate those things pretty soon, you start naturally using that in your writing. Now, like so many things, the Writing Tutor, the more you put into it, the more effort you make, the more you get out of it. Well, this student, Nitya, after 3 years since she enrolled in Acellus Academy, she became a published author at the age of 17. So let's meet Nitya.
Hello, I'm Nitya Dinesh, and I'm a graduate from Acellus Academy, and I wrote and published a book when I was 17. During public high school, I struggled a lot with anxiety. I was very anxious, and social situations were not the best for me, and it really put a toll on how I was doing my academic studies. So one night I decided that I need to have some change in my life, so I found Acellus Academy, and after convincing my parents, we decided that would be best for me because I could focus on my academic studies, do what I love, even get a job and help with my social skills. So my favorite Acellus course would have to be AP US History. The teacher, Todd Edmond, was really good and presented history in a really great way. I took a lot of APs throughout my years in Acellus Academy, but that was the one I really enjoyed. I'm really grateful for Acellus Academy. Also, shout out to all the teachers who really helped me throughout this time. I learned so much from you guys, and thank you.
Let's hear it for Nitya.
Well, it's time to get it over to Dr. John for the Technology Spotlight.
Well, I have to warn you guys, things might get a little messy this time. Yeah, because we're talking about technology inside of your nose. At least it smells good, right? Yeah. We're talking about something called nasal mucus. Yeah. So your nose, of course, is what you use for smelling, but it's also really, really good at filtering air. And one of the reasons is because of this nasal mucus. You know, we usually think about it in a bad way. You know, when you get sick or something, then you have more of that mucus, and it's messy and it's annoying. I told you it might get a little messy. But it actually does a lot of really amazing things. Here is a little diagram that shows inside of your nose, you have these little hairs, and those hairs are covered in mucus. And when you breathe through your nose, the air passes between those hairs, and the mucus grabs little teeny particles and is really efficient at pulling them out of the air and improving the air quality going down to your lungs, which is really important. Here is a more zoomed in. This is actually a nasal hair with pollen on it, and then a little depiction of how that pollen is gripped with the capillary forces to the side of the hair. Well, some researchers in South Korea decided to get a little nosy, and they were working on a way to clean air better with air filters, and they realized that the nose might be onto something here. And so, of course, how do you do this? If you look really closely at an air filter, like this one, this is pretty normal, it looks like hairs. So all we need is the nasal mucus, right? I have this horrible image of them collecting moist tissues, but that's not what they did, thank goodness. They actually realized that it didn't have to be nasal mucus, and they used a special oil, and they put a really thin layer of oil on the hairs in their filter, and they started experimenting with it. And they called it a pro filter, if it's got this oil treatment, particle removal oil coating. You know, you have to make an acronym, right? So here's their little setup in the lab, and they've got a filter in the middle on each side. And the left side, of course, is the bare filter like we usually use. And then the right side is the pro filter with this special coating inspired by nasal mucus. Now I'm going to run the video. You can see they put some pollen through, and you'll notice that the pro side is cleaner after the filter. But the big difference is when you look at the filters carefully under a microscope, the normal filter has only a little bit in comparison to the pro filter. So it was able to remove a lot more of that pollen from the air. And that's a really tricky thing. Usually with our filters, the stuff that we're filtering is too small to physically filter it, have the hole small enough in the filter. And so they basically try to get the air to slow down, and then the van der Waals effect is how they kind of hold it to the filter. But you may have seen a filter before, and you might have noticed that if you blow really hard on it, or if the wind blows, then often a lot of that particulate matter will just come right off. And that's where the pro filter really starts to shine. So here's another lab setup, and you can see the two filters on either side, and then under the microscope, you can see that both of them are pretty dirty. So they've already got a lot of material. And now they're going to try blowing a burst of air through the filter. Here we go. Okay, so here comes the burst of air, and you can see that normal filter, all of that stuff coming off. And the pro filter, you can't hardly even tell. And that's a really big difference. Now under the microscope, look at the difference. You can see completely different, completely different. And so then they took their filters and they tried them in the real world. They set them up in different places. They put one in an office building, and one in an indoor ballpark, and another in a convention center, and ran them for several months and went back and looked at the filters. Here's kind of the setup. You can see how they've got the pro filter and the normal filter right next to each other so they can see the difference just with this coating. And they found that the pro filter was twice as efficient at removing particulate matter from the air. And what does that mean? That means that you could have cleaner air, of course, or for the same amount of energy, With the same amount of energy, you could have cleaner air, or you could use less energy to have the same cleanliness of air. So it's efficient. And so why does it even matter? Well, of course, if the air's cleaner, it's better for us, you know. You don't want to be breathing in too much of that pollen and stuff, especially some of us, right? But also, technology really needs clean air. In the silicon wafer fabs where they make the computer chips for all of our computers, it has to be super clean. They make these special clean rooms, and they have to have really special filters. And technology like this will be able to make it more efficient and more affordable. And of course, NASA has to have really clean rooms to make the space probes, because as they're making them, they want to make sure they don't get contaminated, and they're worried about one little hair getting in there and making it unreliable, anything like that. So having clean air is a really big deal, and who would have thought that the technology was right in our nose? Well, our nose knows. Yeah. And that's all the tech we have the time for. Thank you.
Now it's time for Breakthrough Moments in Science with Tobias.
You know, when you run into moments in life where you try something or you experience something and it's lousy, and most of us want to just go, ooh, that's lousy. Inventors and scientists and engineers will sometimes stop and think, an opportunity. Because it turns out a lot of inventions come from problems or from something that seems lousy. Well, we're going to talk about something lousy. That won't be the breakthrough, but we're going to talk about it. We need to talk about Amar. Now, in the 1970s, Amar, and here he is, he was taking a flight with his wife. Now, Amar, you need to know that Amar, he went to MIT, graduated, and he loved learning. He said his passion was research. And when he finished graduation, the faculty at MIT were like, hey, you could come be a teacher at MIT because you are sharp. And he said, that'd be fun, but I want to research. And then the next week, people came up to him and they said, Amar, congratulations. He's like, for what? And they said, oh, you're on the faculty. And he went and he found out he was on the faculty. So he said, okay, I will try teaching. So he tried it and he loved it. So he became a teacher on the faculty at MIT. And on the side, he did other projects. And something he was really passionate about was sound. So he's on this flight in the 1970s, on an airline flight, and he finds out that this flight has installed a new feature where you could take these little headphones and put them in your ears, and you could listen to music. And that was like a new thing at the time, especially for these little earbuds. And so he was super excited to try them, because remember, he's really into sound. So he puts them in, and he turns up the music, tries to turn it up more. It's like trying to hear it. And his wife, who was with him, said that the sound of the airplane and the sound, she didn't talk about if there were babies crying or what, but the sound of the other passengers drowned out what he was trying to listen to. And he was really disappointed. He took him out, and he was like, these are lousy. And it was an 8-hour flight, though. So what do? Well, if you're Amar, you get out a napkin and a paper, and you start writing ideas. And he thought, there's got to be a better way to block sound and to be able to listen to sound in a noisy environment and hear what you want to listen to. And he would create a breakthrough in that 8-hour flight. And he went home, and he actually had a company already that had started making audio products. Oh yeah, that's right. His name is Dr. Amar Bose. Right? Okay. So he had a company called Bose. Now, some of us are like, Bose is a person? It was like, because Bose, we know now, is a huge brand. Well, Bose was getting established, but already he was starting to become respected in the sound world for speakers. And so he goes to his company and his team, and he says, okay, we're going to make a new product, and it's going to be headphones. So these aren't speakers for a sound system in a room. This is something that you will listen to. But here's the catch. We're going to make it so well and in such a revolutionary way that it will block the sound around you, the ambient sound. It'll take it out. Now, up to that point, anyone who thought, how am I going to block the sound, did this literally, right? So it was like, we got to make these bigger. And you start getting these kind of advertisements in the 70s. I love this, man. Listen to music and make a statement. It's like, this guy looks like he's on, Team Princess Leia. But if you look, what's going on is they're getting bigger to block the sound. And this is actually an advertisement from Sears for headphones. And it's like, so lightweight, they're comfortable for hours of hiking. Can you imagine hiking with those things? Man, and work out your neck. Okay. But that's what it was. It was just, these have got to be bigger and block that sound out. And Dr. Bose had this breakthrough approach of maybe we're going about it backwards. And he told his team, we are going to remove the sound with sound. And if I was on his team, I'm like, if I have a noisy kid and her sister comes in, it's never quieter. It's like, you're going to remove sound with sound? Yeah. And he went back to the basics. Remember what sound is. Sound, you can think of it like a wave. It's these waves, as described as waves, but really it's changes in pressure. So you have compression and expansion. And so when you have sound hitting your ears, it's the pressure and these vibrations in the air. And so he realized, wait a minute, okay, so if a speaker is this diaphragm that's moving, right, from the sound, okay, or if it's making the sound, if you want to remove that sound, what if you added the same wave flipped the other way? So basically, what he's talking about is, if you can imagine the sound waves, and if it's a louder one or a softer one, but the sound wave, if he created a sound wave that wasn't matching, but it was opposite, kind of like this weird dance, but opposite, perfectly opposite. So you have your sound wave, and then you have technology that creates exact equal opposite signal. You combine them, and it should cancel out. So they start working on this. Now, that might sound like a pretty easy thing, but if you are too slow, like if your little computer system is too slow, it won't be fast enough. It's got the amount of time from this sound coming from the noise around you. It's coming to your ear, It's got to get that sound. So he said, we're going to have a microphone listening. And it's going to get the sound, and then in the amount of time the sound that's coming goes from that microphone and hits your eardrum. It has to calculate, and they calculated how long this was, and it was about 15 millionth of a second. That's the amount of time they had to calculate it, create the new signal that's flipped, and send it out the speaker in your headphone. And so they worked on this for years. And there's a story that one of the team talked about where they went to Amar Bose and they said, hey, it's been years we've been working on this, and we've actually spent millions, in fact, about $50 million working on this. And he even tried to suggest maybe we should stop. And when he said 50 million, he kind of waited for Bose to go, oh, really? And Bose stopped and he said, man, good thing we're not a public company or I'd get fired. And then they got back to work. But they worked on this project for 10 years. And when they finally got it working, they were able to have a system that had headphones, that had a microphone that was listening. It took the sound coming from all around, was able to compute that, flip it to an exact equal negative or opposite, negative or positive, depending on, and it would cancel out the sound coming in so that you could just hear the audio that you were trying to listen to. And this would, of course, become what we know as noise-canceling headphones, where it's canceling out perfectly. And basically, it's something pushing and pulling as the other way is pushing and pulling in the opposite direction. So their first product they released was for pilots on flights. And it wasn't for the people sitting in the passenger seats, but this was for actual pilots who are trying to hear over all the sound of the engine and everything on the airplane. Now they put these on. It's pretty good, but then they turn it on, and it's like zoop, and the sound of all that noise just is pulled away, and they can actually hear and communicate. And this would grow and grow until now you can have a little AirPod or something in your ear, and all of that technology, some of them had a box on the wire, all of that's been made this big and it fits in your ear, computing the sound that's coming in that fast. So something that now is so commonplace, and it's like, well, obvious, that's really, duh. But it took somebody to have a lousy moment and then to think of a way. And a quote I love that Bo said is, whatever job you're given, ask yourself, how can I do that better than it ever has been done before? And that sounds like something Dr. Billings would tell you when you're working on a project. Do it better than anyone's done before. Oh, and make sure it sounds good. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, it's time for me to introduce the creator of Acellus, Dr. Roger Billings. Speaking of godfathers, as you may know, he's regarded as the godfather of hydrogen energy. All his different hydrogen projects, first hydrogen car, first hydrogen bus, lived in the first hydrogen home, mowed with the first hydrogen lawnmower, cooked on the first hydrogen stove, a lot of different things. But he's worked in a lot of other fields, as well, including computing. A lot of you know client-server computing and the first all-in-one personal computer. Now, he may not be the godfather of modern computing, but I'd say he's at least one of its uncles. Please welcome Dr. Roger Billings.
So guess what?
What?
I have a Paget canceling headset.
Does it work? Can you still hear
Can
me?
you hear her talking?
Yeah, I can hear me
Could
talking.
someone tell me what she said?
Hi.
I can see your lips.
My
no.
lips are moving.
It is great to be here today, and today is going to be one of those days. At least that's my prediction. Do you remember, some of you are going to get in trouble on this one, but do you remember where you were when the first man walked on the moon? And some of you are saying,
We were just
I was born about 50 years after that, but I remember where I was. It
Yeah.
was such a big event. I watched it on live television down in São Paulo, Brazil. A lot of people watched it live. Do you remember where you were when the World Trade Center was attacked? There are certain big events that happen that are so significant that we remember exactly where we were. Well, some of you may have missed the moon landing, but my prediction, my projection, even my hope, is we're going to have one of those days today because I have a big announcement.
Okay.
Big, big, big.
Is it that big?
What if there was something really amazing that I was going to tell you about tonight that was going to change not only your life, but the world?
That'd be pretty
Some
big.
big, big deal. I
Do you
can't
have
hear
that?
you. I can't hear you. No.
We all want to know what it is.
What? Well, I really believe that what we're going to talk about today is world changing. Now, a lot of the things I've done in my career, I believed were world changing, and it took a while for them to catch on, and that's fine. But I've seen some little things become really big things, and I think this is going to fall in that category, and it will be real interesting to see what you think about it. I'm going to have to take you on a journey, so I want to start out kind of filling this in. But so you know where we're going, I want to start out by telling you what the goal is. In science, we create a thing called a hypothesis. We don't call it a prediction because we don't ever like being wrong. So it's a hypothesis. If you get that wrong, it's okay, right? Well, I look at a lot of wonderful people. I look at our Acellus students. I look at our wonderful Acellus teachers, and I think, how can we help them be more successful in their learning? How can we help the teachers be more successful in their teaching? And I think that a key to all of that, if there was a magic wand that I could wave, and I would have an outcome. The outcome I would choose is make everyone feel better. If everybody felt better, it'd be a better world. You ever been grouchy? Chances are when you were grouchy, you weren't feeling good. Something happened or you just didn't feel good, and then we get grumpy. Well, thank you.
That's to
Hear that?
emphasize we've all had those
I think
moments.
it means we're out of time.
Oh,
No, we're
okay.
not done yet. So what if there was a way to help us really feel better? I look at our fellow Americans, and I notice that one of the things that we're struggling with in our country is we have a lot of people that, in spite of having the best healthcare system in the world, we're not as healthy as many of the other nations. We have a lot of obesity in our country. We have a lot of people that are overweight, enough so that they don't feel as good. And I know a little bit about that because, as I came along, I came out in front and I decided I needed to work on it. There's 1,000,001 diets. You can find all these different diets. There's pills, there's medications, there's all of these ideas on how people can be healthy and lose weight. But I decided to stop since I couldn't find anything that really worked very well. I stopped and looked at the data. This is what scientists do. We stop and we look at the data and try to figure out what is the data saying to me. The data is all of the calculations, the information. What is it saying? Where is the secret that's hiding? If you can find something that doesn't make sense, then there's probably a breakthrough in there waiting to be found. And I think I found one. And if you'll stay with me, I think you'll be kind of impressed at how big this might be. Over in the Mediterranean, France, Italy, those countries, they have much, much lower obesity, which means their people are much better in weight than we are in America, percentage-wise, and they eat all of that French bread and pasta and all those things that, man, if I ate those, I'd just blown up. Why can they do that? And then you go to the other side of the world, over to the Orient, and those people, they eat all that rice. In fact, my brother calls them rice burners. They eat so much rice. And still, that rice is full of carbs. And those people are thin and healthy. And I wondered, why? Why are they eating food like we're eating food, only ours is making us not be healthy, and they are being healthy? And that's when I came up with a blind hypothesis. Now, a blind hypothesis, in my way of thinking, is a hypothesis that you want to find, but you don't have a clue where to look. But here was my blind hypothesis. There's something going on in the Mediterranean and something going on over in the Orient that they're not telling us about. There's some secret that if we could find it, everyone in America would be healthier. And then I thought, why not me? So I started trying to figure out what it was. And then my blind hypothesis pointed me in the direction of where to look. I said, what if when we were created, invented, whatever you'd like to say, happened, whenever we were created, what if in our design there was a feature to keep us from being fat? And it's just not working.
It's a big what if.
To me, that made a lot of sense. There's something in our bodies that's supposed to keep us from getting overweight, but it's not working. Now, the clue is it's working in Italy, it's working in the Orient. What are they doing different? What are they doing different? And so at that point, I started looking at the research data. And in the world we live today, you can do so much research just sitting at a computer for a few minutes, And so I started looking. And I think I found the Holy Grail. And that means the real top drawer way to keep our bodies healthy by using something that was put in every one of us that we're shutting down unknowingly. And I don't think we have to do all these crazy diets and things that people are doing that don't work. Can I tell you about it? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to start out by finding out why I'm being interrupted.
The technical team says you need to close presenter and then open it again.
I can't hear you.
Let me say it louder because I'm sure the
The
whole world
technical
heard
team
me.
says I have to close presenter and start over. What do they know anyway, right?
They know they want the world to see this, so.
Okay, do I have to connect again? What are they doing to me? No?
Oh, we have it now.
I'm all good. So no matter what they say, don't listen to them.
Sound
Okay,
in the back.
I would like to show you a slide. The people that don't want this miracle to be announced are trying to stop me. Here it is. Can you see it? Hey, look at that. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that doesn't look like it, though. That doesn't look like the slide I have. Shall we
Should we get the voice from the back?
try
Oh,
it
there
again?
we go. Here is the voice from the back.
Where's my slide?
This is called Science
And
Live.
now, just to prove to you that this is for real,
Exactly.
dun, 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 dun. They don't want you to know this. And so now he's cutting it out. He's turning it back on. Marion's back on. The computer's now back on. And Tobias
we're
is
good.
teaching me how to run the computer. Are we good? Ta-da! Thank you.
we go.
Unfortunately, we're now out of time, so I'll tell you next week.
No,
Okay.
we're gonna go long.
Let's start by talking about energy. Do you know what this is? This is a dam. And it's a dam with a reservoir. Can you look up here? This is the water being stored in the, now my things, there we go. See this reservoir up here? That's where the water is. And the water flows down through here, turns this turbine, turns this generator, makes electricity. Let's see if we can make it work. Let's see if we can make it work.
It's working.
And there it is. Well, that was great. That worked real fast. Did you see it? Now, I'm glad we're keeping up. Now, what if this reservoir were to get so full because you have more and more and more water coming in, and the water isn't being used fast enough to generate electricity? The level's going to go up, and if it finally flows over the top of the dam, it will wash the dam out. So they build over here a thing called spillways. And these are places where if there's too much water, they just dump it down the river. Let's see if we can get that to work. And there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. My slides are playing just wonderful. I wonder what they did to my system to make it not work.
They? I don't know what did.
They. Do we have a backup on this, Nomi?
Yep, no,
Can't
they
hear
see
her.
it.
There's no sound. But is she able to play it? Okay, now if you look on hers, yours is working, but mine isn't. Should we try and, I really kind of need to point at this. Guys, I really think maybe I will officially start this over again because I really want to show you these slides. They're
Maybe they
pretty
sabotage your
good.
computer.
Yeah, I think the bad guys.
The bad guys.
So why don't you go ahead and talk to them? Okay, here we go. Let's see. I think we're in business now. If it will just work, it would be a wonderful thing, wouldn't it?
'Cause it was playing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, look at this.
Oh, there we go.
Can you see it turning? Now look, the water's going down through. Oh, and then the slide, when this went on, it stopped it. That's what happened. So the water goes down through, it generates power and goes out. Now let's try it with the other part. And this time, we're going to open the, Yeah, so apparently my pen makes it stop, so I won't show you that. But you understand the concept.
Yeah.
If the water goes through the generator, you get power. If it doesn't go through the generator, you don't get power. Now, I'd like to tell you about a brand new diet. And I'm going to explain to you why I think this is kind of a breakthrough. It's kind of a big deal. Here at IST, where we develop Acellus, we have a cafeteria, and we call it the Catalyst Cafeteria because this is where we're doing the research on developing this new diet. A catalyst is something that makes a reaction go the way that you want it to. And so I'm calling the diet the Catalytic Diet. All right, so good food is what the Catalytic Diet is all about, and we've been trying to get the healthiest food we could find, and we've been serving it in the cafeteria, and the food has made a difference. A lot of us have found that we're healthier eating well, and there are some junk foods and things that don't go over well, but beyond the food, there are other things you have to do as well, and one of them is you have to get up and move. And so we put in a gym for the teachers. So your teachers can stay fresh and toned. Here they are. Look at them.
Look at all those.
Yeah, this is what you have to do to be an Acellus teacher right here. Right, Todd? Oh, we got Todd tonight. It's good to see you. And look at them work out. Yeah. No wonder our lessons are getting better and better. So you've got to eat right and you've got to exercise to be toned. But that alone isn't enough, as we found, to really have people have their optimum health. And so that's when we get into this next part. And I really wanted to be able to point to these slides, but for some reason, my computer doesn't seem to want to let me do that. So I may have to just talk about them. You'll have to keep up with me. So here we go. Look at us go. Yeah. This is a mitochondria. This is a part of the cell of all the cells of your body have these little engines in them called the mitochondria. These are the places, these are the power plants of your cells. And inside these cells, you have a thing that looks like this. Let's open it up and look inside. You can see the outer wall, and then you can see the inner wall. And these two things, the inner and the outer, are called membranes. Now, I happen to have a piece of membrane. This isn't the kind that's in the mitochondria in your cells. This is the kind that's in my hydrogen fuel cell. And it's kind of see-through. It's a polyperfluorinated membrane. And what it does is it passes hydrogen protons through this membrane. The membrane in the mitochondria of your body are hydrogen proton membranes. And they pass hydrogen protons in a very interesting way. Now, in this next one, we're going to take a look at, here we go. Let's zoom in. My slides are working just great. Here we go. As you can see, we're zooming in now. That little gap is actually the space between the two membranes. So we've zoomed clear in on it. And you can see those funny little structures. Those structures are actually the things that start the process of making energy that you eat, which comes into them and converts them into protons, which they push through the membrane that becomes the first step in making the kind of energy we can use in the body. I'm going to see if we can get this to show you. Can you see the little white dots being pushed through here? When my computer does not want to play my videos very well for reasons. Do you have it so you can play it there, Naomi? Technical problems with our new auditorium. Here we go. Now can you see the little white dots going up through the membrane? Those white dots are hydrogen protons. And they accumulate up there, and it's like charging a battery. With a lot of them up there, It's like water in a reservoir ready to make electricity. But now we need a generator to run that energy through. And inside the mitochondria, we have the most interesting little generator. It's a little machine that is like a turbine. It actually spins and is pushed by hydrogen protons. Let's show them that one, Nomi. Watch it. It's the thing there on the right. See the protons going in and it's going around? This little thing actually really spins, and as it spins, it is converting the food nutrient that comes in the body, which is the green there, into the red, which is ATP, which is the abbreviation for the fuel that our bodies actually run on. And the ATP then comes out of the mitochondria into the various parts of the cell that power us. So that's how energy is utilized by the body, by that process. You're saying, well, it's kind of a big deal. But think about it. We charge up the space between the membranes by filling it up with protons. And by charging it up, it's like filling a reservoir full of water. Then we let the protons come down through that little engine, and when they do so, they generate the power that runs the cell. The problem we run into is when the cell is fully powering everything in our body, and there's more power than it knows what to do with, then the body starts storing the power as fat. So that is the process of making fat. What we need is that little spillway, a way of dumping the extra power that we don't need. And it turns out that there is a way to do that, and that's by uncoupling the mitochondria. And this is done with a little protein enzyme that sits right on the, let me show you the video. Show the next one. Now look here, if you look, see now the protons are going through the membrane, but they're not turning the wheel. They're not doing any work. They're just going down the river, and they give off a little bit of heat, and it's wasted. In order for that particular function to take place, you need a thing called GFG.
FG.
She is paying attention. FGF21. FGF21 is a growth hormone that is produced by our livers. And when it is present, then that process of creating the energy is bypassed, and the energy just goes out as waste heat, and it doesn't build up as fat. Here comes the kicker. Why are they able to eat all that bread in the Mediterranean and all that rice in the Orient, and we get large and they don't? And the answer is this: if you eat too much meat, too much protein, the liver stops producing FGF21. Now think about that for a minute. It's supposed to produce it when we have too much, but we get it overloaded, and when we overload it with all, they don't have that much meat in either of those places. And I have been fighting this for years and years, and they put me on a diet where they said, you can't have any carbs. I became a type 2 diabetic, about 25 years ago. And so they said, you can't have carbs because carbs will spike your sugar up and create problems for you. So I quit eating carbs. So what did I eat? I ate more meat. You can get calories from meat or from protein, from fat, and from carbohydrates. So I quit eating carbohydrates and just ate meat. And my diabetes continued and continued and continued. So then, when I started having this hypothesis that if we could activate the FGF21 production from the liver, that we would be able to get rid of that excess stuff, then all of a sudden my system started functioning. Of course, I experimented on myself and her and
true. I
others.
volunteered.
But
I volunteered.
interestingly, the results I've seen from this are really, really amazing. So let me now just explain how it works. The thing that I'm announcing today is the Catalytic Diet. And the Catalytic Diet, I searched the patent office to see if anyone had ever proposed this, and they said no. So I filed a patent on it. I filed a patent because I want no one to be able to patent it, stopping us all from enjoying it. But the Catalytic Diet says you need to eat protein. Protein is a food that you get from meats and from other foods like eggs, etc. But you need to not have too much protein. And that's the secret. About 10% of the calories you eat should come from protein. About 30% of the calories you eat should come from healthy fats. And the remaining 60% can come from carbs. Now, I stopped eating carbs because they told me that it would help my A1C get better. A1C is a blood test the doctor does every year on anybody that's a diabetic to see how well they're doing in controlling their sugar. And it's supposed to give you an average of what your sugar's been over the past 90 days. Well, if your A1C is high, then you're pre-diabetic. And if it's higher yet, then you're type 2 diabetic. And so lo and behold, you've got a very serious problem. And if you don't control that sugar, then heart disease and Alzheimer's and many, many other things start to happen. So what I did is I was eating all meat to get my calories and no carbs. If I would have any sugar, any carbohydrates, if I'd have rice, if I'd have potatoes, my sugar would go off the chart. But I switched over to this diet, and something really magical happened. Very, very magical. My sugar spikes started dying, almost like by magic. Can we look at the next slide? Here we are. Okay, we're past this slide. Let's keep going. Try and keep up. And the next slide. And there it comes. There we go. I want to show you how to do this diet.
Did you know that as you grow, your body needs different amounts of food to stay strong and full of energy? The energy in food is measured in calories. Calories are like the fuel that powers your body for running, playing, and even thinking. As you get bigger, your body needs more calories to keep going. Eating healthy doesn't mean just eating vegetables. There are so many delicious foods that are good for you. In Dr. Roger Billings' Catalytic Diet, foods are divided into 3 categories: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. First up, protein. Protein helps your muscles grow strong. You don't need a ton of it, just a little bit. Think foods like meat, eggs, or beans. Next, healthy fats. These keep your brain and body feeling great. You only need a small amount. Foods like olive oil, avocados, butter, or nuts are great options. The last section is carbohydrates, or carbs. Carbs give you tons of energy for playing and learning. Carbs should be the biggest part of your meals. Think whole grain bread, especially black einkorn bread, rice, pasta, fruits, and veggies. At meals, carbs should take up the biggest part of your plate. But how much food do you need? Did you know your body needs different amounts of protein, carbs, and healthy fats as you grow? That's right. How much you need changes with your age, and even things like how active you are. Check out this plate. Is it a healthy, balanced meal? Yes, it has the right amount of fats, protein, and carbs. What about this one? Nope, this plate has too much protein. Well, this one has carbs, but they are unhealthy carbs. This is not a healthy plate. Avoid foods with high fructose corn syrup or concentrated sugar. There are so many delicious and healthy options to choose from. Healthy eating is all about balance. But food isn't the only way to stay strong. To live a catalytic lifestyle, you also need plenty of exercise. There are so many fun activities to get your heart pumping. It's super important to get enough rest, too. Sleep is like a superpower that recharges your body for new adventures every day. Lastly, keep a positive attitude. Watching science live is a great way to spark your curiosity and get excited about the world around you. being healthy means you'll feel awesome. With tons of energy from yummy carbs, a bit of protein, and healthy fats, you'll be ready to do more every day. Whether it's learning something new, playing with your friends and family, or just enjoying life to the fullest.
All right. Wouldn't it be amazing if something as simple as not overeating meat could make us healthy? And remember, no meat, no protein is very unhealthy. You need protein. You need amino acids and the other nutrients in foods like meat and other proteins to build muscle and other things. So you don't want to do that. But we're eating way too much. We have protein overload. And so if we just pull the protein back, then we have the right amount of fats. You need fats. Fats in a good diet help make the ketones that make your brains work on superpowers. So you want to have those. And then most of your diet is carbs. And carbs are wonderful if they just don't make you fat and make your blood spike. Well, I have to tell you that after experimenting with this, it's like magic. It's like when the sugar goes up and the body senses it, the liver starts creating that FGF21, and it just starts wasting the energy instead of storing fat. And the results are really wonderful. Now, I want to see if we can put up this next slide. This is where I'm going to get real personal. I hope you can see this. This is a plot of hemoglobin A1C. This is the test I was telling you about that they used to tell me I was a type 2 diabetic, which meant, I've got a lot of restrictions in my life. And if you look, it goes way back there, and I've tried all kinds of medications and exercise and things to take care of it. I needed to be down in the green, but I never was able to do it. And this has gone on for about 20 years. 20 years. Now I'm going to try and show you this next one. This is my last blood test. And look at this. The test on the left, that dot around the blue, up in the red is where I was last test. And look at this down in the green. When you're down in the green, your ANC is in range. And for the first time in 25 years, I'm not diabetic. I really think there's something here. And I think that we can solve a lot of illness in this country and in this world if we will just balance our consumption of healthy proteins. And yeah, junk food is junk food. High fructose corn syrup, concentrated sugar, if you eat those, you're going to have problems. But if you'll eat this balance, well, then you can see some really good things. Now, I've prepared a technical paper telling the details of this for those of you that are serious. And on the Science Live post, as it comes out later today, there'll be a little link to the Roger Billings website where you can get a little brochure on how to do it. And the brochure has a link to the paper if you want to read it. This is something that anybody can do, and it really is new. I've only been doing this for a short period, not enough to really say that I have a 10-year study, and it's anecdotal because it's just on me, and I'm just one very small prototype. I need a lot of you to try it. However, several of my close friends have tried this, and every single one of them have brought back some really positive news. Haven't you?
I have, actually. I tried it, and there's a very rare breed of people. They're very opinionated. They're very strong. They are very stubborn. And they are very brilliant at times and very emotional at other times. And that is what I would call a type 1 diabetic. And I can speak about them because I am one. I have been one for this year, marks 33 years. And throughout those years, it's been a ride. It's been a real ride. And we are told that we can't have a lot of carbohydrates and we have to watch this and this, and it's true. So I was doing the very low carb diet because I was told that's going to keep my sugars stable. I can't show you my chart right now because I don't have it like he has his. But 3 weeks ago, I started in earnest on this diet, and 3 weeks is not enough to show a difference really in the A1C because it's over a 3-month period that they test. But I went from one point all the way down to another point, and some other things that were out of range because of diabetes, like liver enzymes, are in range, and I'm going to the point where they could say that I am pre-diabetic, and that is a big deal for a type 1 diabetic because that really is unheard of. I will tell you that the first day I felt incredible. The next 2 weeks, it was like the optimism curve. I was up here and I went down here and I thought, what the heck is going on, Dr. Billings? I feel messed up. But now I'm going back up, and this diet is amazing. And I think it's more of a diet, it's a lifestyle. It is a way of living, and it's a way of engaging in life. And I'm very excited. I'm very grateful. Nobody has helped me more through my diabetes than Dr. Billings. And it's true.
I couldn't hear what she said. But well, you know, diet is very important. Just as important, though, is exercise.
Yes.
You need to exercise and rest. Yep. You need to get good rest. The best way to be able to get good rest is get on a regular schedule. Too many people get interfered with by video games and movies and things late at night, and it gets you off your schedule. But we need to take care of our health. Then we feel our best. Mm-hmm. And that really is the goal here. There's one other thing, though, that I want to just mention because I think it's got superpower, and that is your mental attitude. You've got to believe in yourself, and I really believe that your attitude about life changes your health. It really does. Years ago, when I first started having type 2 diabetes, one of the first things I had was high blood pressure. And they put me on a blood pressure pill, and I was good for 3 years. I mean, put me on, I was on 4. Now I'm down to 3. I'm planning to go back down. But it was interesting to me that when you have high blood pressure, if you get a feedback machine and actually concentrate, you can control the blood pressure. The power of positive thinking is magical. And if you have negative thoughts, you're probably going to have negative results. And so find the optimism and the energy, the positive energy to live a happy, fulfilling life. That is my 100% goal with Acellus, and I wish it on all of you. As far as this diet's concerned, it's really premature. And if it's something this simple that could help a lot of people be a lot healthier, wouldn't that be wonderful? You don't have to go buy a drug. You just need to be careful what you eat. Now, our earlier speakers said that there are bees that choose the flowers that they have their pollen from to get the balance between protein, fats, and carbs. Mm-hmm. I guess we should have listened to the bees a long time ago. So. But I really would encourage any of you who are interested in feeling better, any of you that are having problems with type 2 diabetes, which right now is a rampage in this country. Almost all seniors are struggling with this. And, you know, they came out with those little dots that you can put on that measure your sugar all day long and wake you up at night and say, hey, you're going high. Well, if you're wearing one of those, try this diet. Try it for 1 month and watch what happens. When you eat a lot of sugar, shoots up. And for mine, it just comes right back down. And I just lost my mic. I'm having one of those nights.
Positive attitude, though. Positive attitude.
Oh, just a minute. Oh, we got a problem.
Another problem.
Oh, yeah. It seems that we have R51 has invented a diet. I don't think we have time.
I think we better.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's.
All right, R51. What do you got? Well, hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to Area 51 because I am R51 and I'm in charge here, and you're just all welcome. But today I have some really important news because I have invented a new diet. It's amazing. The big R, he made a diet, but he did his best, and you gotta thank him for that. But mine is amazing. My diet's gonna change the world.
Oh yeah, Mr. 51, so what is your diet?
Well, my diet is special. It's really a special diet.
So what's it called?
My diet's called the wheat diet. It's the wheat diet.
What do you mean, the wheat diet? Everybody eats wheat.
No, you don't get it. It's the wheat diet. See, Lady Paget and I are both on the, we're both on the wheat diet. And you know why? It's because we eat. Well, actually, she eat because I just charged my batteries. But she's on the wheat diet, which means she eats every day.
51, that's crazy.
Wheat is a plant that grows, and we grind it up and we make bread. It's not a diet. Yes, it is. It's the wheat diet. Wheat diet. We eat, don't we? Lady Paget, you just tell that big R, okay? Can you hear her? She's saying I'm right. You're wrong.
R51, you are so mixed up. Wheat, we've been talking about wheat. They use it to make bread. And we've been working to give the whole world the amazing new special black einkorn wheat. It's better than the other wheats because people that are gluten intolerant can eat it without getting sick. It's a wonderful thing. And when we found out there was a wonderful ancient wheat that has been on the earth for 10,000 years, but no one can buy the seed, we started up at our IST farm raising einkorn wheat. We bought a big combine machine, we planted the wheat, it grew tall, and we harvested it, and now we're sending einkorn seed to everyone. Wheat is not a diet. Wheat is an important food. Can't you understand that?
So it's just like we thought. Wheat is a diet. He's so mixed up, he doesn't get it. We eat. I eat, she eat. We have to eat to be. I don't eat, do I? But she eats, yeah, and people have to eat.
R51, wheat is not a diet. It is a plant. It grows in the field. And the black einkorn wheat is the very, very best kind of wheat.
So we were right all along. Wheat is a diet. Science marches forward.
She's alive.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.